One of the things that my close friends and my family that they know about me is that when I get super excited about something, it becomes my entire personality. So, like an example is 2 years ago when I was here still as a seminarian, I got super into the TV show Stranger Things. And so just like watched the whole series in like 2 weeks, and then watched all of like the Spielberg movies that were like the major, that were like the major kind of catalyst for the show, and just got super into it like basically overnight. And a couple weeks ago in the parish office, one of the staff members was showing me like a podcast on like the national parks. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Ben, I've like not really super like a nature guy, but now I am. Because I just got super into it and was listening to all of the episodes, and I was like, wow, national parks are just amazing. And like, should I go on like a bunch of like hikes more? And 2 days ago I saw the Wicked movie. It's based on the musical, and now I love musicals. Which I've always loved musicals, but yeah, now I'm just debating whether I like should be a like major choreographer or something. And that experience of joy, right, the emotion of joy is such a good thing, and the emotions we have, they come from the Father, and they are so good for us. They protect us, they keep us safe, they let us know when we are in danger, but they are always fleeting. Right? What I loved about Stranger Things, what I love about the national parks, what I love about musicals, and particularly Wicked, right? They always last for a time. And I'm only interested in the next national park until the next thing comes along to take my like imagination by storm, and then that's the next exciting thing for Father Grant. But it's always fleeting, and it always leaves me longing for the next thing. And that is certainly what emotional joy does, but that is not the joy that we celebrate today. So today is called Gaudete Sunday, one of 2 days of the year where the priest wears rose-colored vestments. I'm not going to call the color for what it is, but it is pink. And the joy, the rejoicing that the church speaks of today really is grounded in the fact that within this week of the liturgical season we're in, there is a pivot from knowing that the Lord is soon coming, and the pivot is now the Lord is actually near. Soon and very soon, right? He will be born, and he will break into our lives. And St. Paul so beautifully tells us this distinction between the fleeting that joy can be from our emotions and this deeper sense of rejoicing that St. Paul and the church today speak of as we prepare for the Christmas season. St. Paul so beautifully says that rejoicing should not fill us with stress and the anxieties of life. True joy is something that lasts. It has a lingering effect. And with it comes this sense of stillness and silence and this sense of peace. And St. Paul really hints at this in the second reading. That is grounded in a relationship, right? Personally, I don't establish a relationship with Stranger Things or national parks or whatever is on my mind, but I do establish a relationship with Christ, through whom these virtues of joy, rejoicing, longing, stillness, silence, all these themes of the season we're currently in. He is the source of that. Then St. Paul so beautifully says at the end of the second reading that when we lean into this sense of joy as a sense of longevity, that the Lord becomes a guard of the hearts that we have. He becomes a protector of those virtues. One of my favorite saints of all time is Saint Teresa of Avila. She was a Carmelite sister, and she uses a beautiful analogy for this sense of the deeper we lean into Christ, the more we lean into these virtues, the stillness and the silence that comes from that leads us closer and closer to his heart. But the image that she really used for this was one of a castle. The more we move from room to room, right, and we can picture the heart of Christ as being at the very center of the castle. And the more we move through the rooms, closer and closer to the center, the more that we see we are fortified and protected by what the Lord desires to give us. But that sense of joy, that sense of rejoicing, really becomes for us a safety net and a sense of security. Knowing that we are loved by a Father who loves us provides us with that sense of protection. And so we can ask ourselves, well, as we get closer and closer to Christmas, and I'm doing my last-minute shopping and trying to check all the boxes before the family comes in for the day or maybe the week or maybe the next couple weeks, right? How do I lean into this sense of joy and this sense of preparation in a more concrete way that leads to that sense of longevity that's not fleeting, that isn't passing from one thing to the next? And certainly one of those things is the sacrament of reconciliation. Because within that sacrament, like Paul so clearly says in our second reading, we are able to name the stresses. We are able to name the anxieties that keep popping up. Right? In confession, so beautifully, right, it allows us to nip that right in the bud. But the reminder for us as we approach the sacrament today, as we prepare to receive our Lord in the sacrament, is that joy, rejoicing, this virtue that we celebrate today, is much more than just a giddy, emotional state. Joy is always linked with peace. It fills us with a sense of longevity, a sense that we are safe and secure, and that is only true within Christ, within God, who is the guardian of our souls and the guardians of our hearts. And that joy is primarily grounded not in an emotional state, but in a relationship.